Good evening and welcome to the April 24th meeting of the Yorktown Zoning Board of Appeals. My name is John Meisterich. I chair the board. With me tonight are Anthony Altamari, Bob Fahey, Christine Kager, our attorney, and Steve Frietta from the building department. So our order of business for the meeting is, at first we have to approve the minutes from last month's meeting. I sent them out for review.
I wasn't here, so if you want to, it looks good to me.
Okay, that's good. So I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the March meeting. Do I have a second?
It's up to you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, the minutes are approved. I will announce that one of our other members may or may not arrive, Bill Gregory. So we'll hope he gets here. There's three of us. We have a quorum. For now, the one thing I will mention is that we need to have a unanimous yes on any vote we take tonight with only three of us. It's not majority rules. It's you need three affirmative votes for a variance. So we'll also set up the next meeting, which I'm also trying to operate this computer system, so I may look a little bit confused at times here because it's the first time I've used it. But the next meeting is May 22nd here in the boardroom. So if you're here under new business, most likely you'll be returning for the variance hearing on May 22nd. If I order a site visit for the, for the application, our board goes out on the Saturday before the meeting, which turns out to be May 17th. We usually start around 9:30 in the south of town and head north. If there's something like an addition that's being proposed, we do bring the plans with us normally, but anything that you can mark with flags or anything would be helpful. You can be there. You don't necessarily have to be there, but be aware we're going to show up and we'll knock on the door and say hello if you are there. For that meeting, you have to send out a mailing to your neighbors. You get the list from the assessor's office of who you have to notice, and your notification mailing sent certificate of mailing. It's not certified mail. It's called certificate of mailing, which is cheaper, and that's has to be done between April 25th and May 7th. Those mailing dates must be adhered to for us to be able to open your hearing. You'll ask to do a few other things: a sign on the property, a picture of your sign, and a copy of the notice that you are sending out to the neighbors. Nisreen, who is not here tonight, she's in the building department. She's very helpful and can take you through whatever needs to be done and coordinate with you if you need any help. Okay, so we will move on to our agenda. So new business, our first, we'll get rid of that, just leave that up. New business, Cantone, 1818 Amazon Road. Is anyone here on that? This is an application for a special use permit, a renewal of an accessory apartment. So we will handle this administratively. I will refer to the building department and set it down for a public hearing on May 22nd. Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, DeSisto, 1678 Amazon Road. Is anyone here on that? This is an application for a special use permit for a renewal of an accessory apartment. I will handle this administratively and refer to the building department and set it down for a public hearing on May 22nd. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Diaz, it's 1465 Hiawatha Road. This is an application to construct a second-story addition that will require a front yard setback of 24 feet, where 30 feet is required per section 300-21 of the town zoning code.
Good evening. I'm Joel Greenberg, the architect for the project, and as you said, it's a second-story addition, and front yard doesn't meet the 30-foot code.
What are you doing, bedrooms? What are we doing on the second floor?
Right, we're doing is we're taking the bedrooms down from the first floor and opening it up to a large dining room, kitchen, living room, and the bedrooms going upstairs.
Fair enough.
Okay, so it's basically the same footprint of the
Footprint
house.
is similar.
Okay, so I will set this down for a site visit on May 17th. Refer to the building department and set this for a public hearing on May 22nd.
Thank
Do
you
I
very
have a
much.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Take
Okay.
care. Thank you very much.
See you in a month. Okay, Franchi, 2936 Meadowcrest Drive.
Come on down.
This is an application to construct an addition that will require a variance on a corner lot with a setback of 31.08 feet, where 40 feet is required per section 300-21 of the town zoning code. Can you state your name for the record?
Yep, Michael Hurley.
Okay. So basically, we're going to have a public hearing on this. No questions at this time from me.
Is he the architect? The guy reading the book?
He's studying to be one.
He's getting civic education.
Yeah.
There you go, there you go. Taking
So,
notes.
We will set this down for a site visit on May 17th, and I'll refer to the building department and set it for a public hearing on May 22nd. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll see on May 22nd or the 17th. Lamp. This is 357 Crow Hill Road. This is an application for a proposed two-lot subdivision that will require a variance for frontage with a setback of 25.15 feet, where 200 feet is required. You're basically saying that the frontage is
Well,
25.
Yeah, I think the setback's not the right word.
Setback.
What are we looking to do on the subdivision?
Well, it's a 4.4 acre lot that has a long driveway, about 800 feet. And I'm gonna split it into two parcels, 1.8 acres and 2.4. And
Right.
so there's two variances. There's the frontage is 25, not 200. And the second lot has no street frontage at all, so it needs a 280A variance.
Okay.
Okay.
So just make sure you have the wording right on both of those variances
Mhm.
in your notice,
Okay.
because all I have here on the agenda is the frontage of 25.15, where 200 is required. So there's
Mhm.
one that's, I guess, 0, or whatever it's called.
Yeah,
There's
right.
two different ones. Just make sure you notice it
Yeah.
correctly, and we'll make sure the agenda
mhm.
is correct, because it also says setback, which I just struck
Right,
out
right.
here.
Yeah, I don't know who did that.
That's just it's just, we have so many setbacks and variances, it just gets
Mm.
mixed up sometimes.
Right.
Okay, so, I will set this down for a site visit on May 17th. Refer to building. Have you been to the planning board on this?
Yeah, many times.
Okay,
We needed to get a variance from the state because there's a fire code that the driveway has to be between 20 and 26 feet wide. So we got a variance to keep it at the 16,
okay.
but put in the fire turn access at the end, and we widened the front, and I widened it from 14 to 16, as much as you can go.
So if
so I
they
have that.
approved, you have like an approved plan from the planning board, or?
Well, it should be approved.
Yeah.
They said they're gonna
I'll
meet,
just refer, I'm
they're
gonna
gonna meet in
refer
2
this
weeks.
to the planning board, so they'll just send me a memo.
Have you got
Right.
anything in writing from the planning board? Have they given you
No,
any
no,
kind of
'cause-
like an okay pending our approval?
no, they got the memo from the state, and they wanted to confirm that that is right before they granted. So,
Gotcha.
so they said we're gonna come back in 2 weeks, and they're
Okay.
gonna get it before this next May
Okay,
22nd
so
meeting.
I'll refer this to the building department and the
Mhm.
planning board, they'll send me a memo.
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
explain.
they'll tell you where things are.
And this is a wooded lot? These are wooded lots?
Yeah, it's-
Did they have to, conservation have to see any of this? Was there anything there? Crow Hill Road, you got the reservoir down the bottom of the hill, blah, blah, blah. If you don't need it.
Yeah, I
you know.
don't.
All right, then let it
yeah.
ride. I mean,
I mean, I think the planning board would
they would
hash
address that.
out.
Yeah, you're right,
Um,
you're right, you're right.
The thing is, yeah, so I'll just get a memo from them and
Right.
they'll explain, and I think
Okay.
we'll be good as far as that. So I'll set this down for the site visit, refer to building, planning, and a public hearing on May 22nd. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay, so we're going to move on to our adjourned agenda. Damiano, is anyone here on that? Sure, come on up.
On
and,
down.
Comments on the 357 Crow Hill Road.
Oh,
Oh.
so we don't,
Would
Yeah,
that be set up for public to public?
yes.
Okay, so that's
We
when
don't
I,
open the hearing tonight, we just set it down to come
Okay.
back next month,
yeah.
and that's when the
Can I
public.
join you on the site visit?
No.
No, okay, I'm just asking. No, I just want to be in the loop.
Yeah, well, all we do is
Yeah.
just visually look
When,
at the
when we,
site.
we
I
go
mean,
out, we get an idea of what's going on. When we come back here, they're gonna give us the plans and what they wanna do.
There's not much we could see with an empty lot, really, per se, but, yeah.
I'm familiar with
All right. So, I mean, you know when the round will be there, you know, but I don't know.
It's not imperative.
Yeah.
But it's just a thought.
Bring the
Just
coffee,
bring
bring
all
the,
your
bring the,
questions.
bring the coffee and the donuts and, you know,
Yeah.
bring the coffee and the
Yeah.
donuts, you know.
Will do.
Thank you. Okay, Damiano, is anyone here on that? So that's been adjourned, it's an accessory, so it'll stay adjourned. Pojoriali,
Very good.
daycare center, that is adjourned and continues to be adjourned. Pan Bar Realty. Try to get this computer thing going here. So while this is like loading on the screen, just state your name for the
Sure,
record.
John Barilli and Louis Panny for Panbar Realty.
Okay. So can you also grab the paper file on that, Bob? Sure. Because I have memos to read, but. So we have had this hearing ongoing.
Mhm.
You're trying to subdivide, let's say, purchase, purchase two lots and merge them, two 5,000 square foot lots, and merge them into a 10,000 square foot lot, and seek a variance for that because the minimum lot size in an R110 is 20,000 square feet. I'm just summarizing for people's benefit.
Thank you.
So, basically, you presented everything the last time, we then adjourned it because we didn't have a quorum. I have a few new memos, I can go right to reading them unless there's something additional you feel like bringing up at this point. I'm just looking for like a diagram in all this
I
that
did have some
could
questions.
come up. I'm sorry. If this gets too unwieldy, I'll just stop doing it. Yeah, all right. This is good enough.
Yeah, that shows you the lots.
Yeah, okay. So, there were some memos that I had read, and I'm gonna try not to reread the same memos. But as of the last time, the planning board had asked for more time. And so they did provide a memo on February 27th.
Oh, I didn't know about this.
At the meeting, and I will read it, it is pretty detailed, but at its meeting on January 27th, the planning board discussed the subject referral for a variance to facilitate the creation of a single-family residential lot consisting of 10,000 square feet where 20,000 square feet is required. The proposed lot is made up of two 5,000 square foot lots that act as septic areas for each of their adjacent 10,000 square foot lots. Information and comments are as follows. Property one is, just basically what we just said. So, upon conducting a plan review, the supporting site plan shows the creation of a 10,000 square foot lot with 100 feet of frontage on Hollywood Street, leaving the two existing houses on identical 10,000 square foot lots. The proposed structure complies with the required setbacks and proposes a driveway and curb cut onto Hollywood Street. The footprint of the structure appears to be 60 feet by 30 feet and 1,800 square feet, although this is not stated on the plan. The proposal meets lot coverage, lot depth, and lot width. Environmental resource maps do not predict the presence of wetlands within the confines of this neighborhood nor the subject parcel. Neighborhood and district conditions. The subject property exists in a single-family neighborhood laid out on a regular grid street system and mapped as an R110 zoning district. District originally required a minimum lot size of 10,000 square feet, but was modified at some point in the latter quarter of the previous century to a 20,000 square foot minimum. The build-out of the neighborhood predominantly followed the original requirement, as most lots are over 10,000 square feet or larger. There are a number of substandard lots with less than 10,000 square feet east of the lake, with the smallest containing 5,000 square feet. West of the lake, the neighborhood was largely compliant in lot size, perhaps due to the timing relative of the town's evolution of zoning requirements. There are a number of lots that are configured and of a size that have potential for a subdivision in like manner as the subject parcel. See attached map. It's probably somewhere in this Dropbox that I'm not going to be able to find quickly. Planning/zoning considerations. While it is recognized that the two developed lots are both existing at 10,000 square feet, they both have distinct abutting 5,000 square foot lots which could have and possibly should have been combined to be less non-conforming developments. The requested variance therefore appears to this board to have the effect of increasing the nonconformity of the two existing houses and creating a new developed nonconforming lot where there was no ability to develop prior. This raises the question as to the impetus for the circa 1980s change in this district of the minimum area requirement to 20,000 square feet from 10,000 square feet. There is a common perception connecting the historical evolution of design requirements of septic systems with minimum area increase. However, if septic systems could not be accommodated on 10,000 square foot lots, such in practicality would be self-regulating and may have been the case with these two developments, requiring an additional 5,000 square feet over the 10,000 square feet original lots, and not require a higher minimum area. Therefore, the increase may have been adopted in order to regulate density of units in the neighborhood and the density or size of physical structures related to their lot size. Other considerations such as population growth, adequate road infrastructure, etc., may have been considered. The question, therefore, is whether it is desirable to permit development of this zoning district at a density that is contrary to its expected developed density under the zone's current requirements. If so, and if the zoning district's infrastructure characteristics and neighborhood characteristics support density at 10,000 square feet minimum lot size, the board questions whether the proper course to effect such build-outs is via a series of zoning variances. Further, if infrastructure alone is determinative, then other neighborhoods may expect such opportunity even though set in a R120 zone or an R140 zone. Taking the attached map in this context, the board questions whether this district can adequately support development growth of 15 to 25% more. While on its face a structure built on a 10,000 square foot lot may not be anomalous to the neighborhood, and while granting of this variance and its development will likely not significantly disrupt the characteristics of this neighborhood on its own, the board feels that there are longer-term considerations regarding the appropriate and orderly development of this neighborhood and the town. Respectfully submitted, Ian Ritchie, Assistant Planner. Okay. So, I also probably read the building memo last time. Yes. And the original planning memo, I do have this map here. It's, like I said, it's probably on the Well, this is a map depicting the various lot sizes
Yeah.
from the planning board, and it's color-coded.
Yeah, but it's an overview of the entire neighborhood as far as to as it applies to the application. There's one showing all of Hollywood Street with the various, with the size lots and pertaining to what they wanna do pertaining to the application, which is, I think, more appropriate than that overview.
Yeah, I was just stating what it was. So anyway, we had some public memos that were basically against the application, and I read those last time. I think a new one came in, so I will read it as quickly as I can. So, this was received on February 19th. It's signed kind of in a petition-like manner, so various neighborhood people. Dear ZBA Chair, we would like to add a few more points to the discussion we had about this application at the last meeting on January 23rd, 2025. The builders responding to our concerns about the water runoff said there were no trees on those lots. This is incorrect. As we said before, and for the record, a photo is attached showing plenty of large trees on these lots. Those will be lost as a result of the construction there. He also stated that the zoning ordinance was changed only because at the time there were only septic tanks in the area, no sewer system, and too many septic tanks would be bad for the environment. Again, it must be incorrect. If that were the only reason, the zoning standards could have been reversed after the majority of properties in this area were connected to the Peekskill sewer system. Nevertheless, they were not reversed. We fail to see the hardship that this would necessitate a variance other than the zoning ordinance itself, but we do not think that qualifies for the variance. Also, at the last meeting, there was talk about parcels that were sized for summer cottages, and somehow that would be, and questions to how that would be relevant today. We do not see how it would matter today. There are more cottages here. There are no more cottages here. Practically all houses were remodeled and updated. Certainly, the applicant would not want to build a summer cottage on this new lot either. So no, we would not go back to this summer cottage era. Granting this variance precisely would put us back to the path of the summer cottage area because it would provide precedence, creating not just one, but 3 100 by 100 properties. Currently, all properties are larger in this section of Hollywood Street. Please review the highlighted quotes on the attached pages from New York State Department of State, Local Government Technical Series. What I'll say about what that letter is referring to is a set of instructions for the Zoning Board of Appeals telling us how to make deliberations and what our factors are, reminding us of our factors to consider in a variance. So, character of the neighborhood, adverse effects on the environment, and so I won't read that entire booklet for everybody's benefit here. Okay, so you can either make comments or I'll open it up to the floor here for any public comments.
Well, I understand what the planning board said. I don't think allowing this to happen would really affect the nature of the neighborhood. There's plenty of 10,000 square foot and sub 10,000 square foot lots in the area. I don't see what the drawback would be. I understand the people in the area don't want it. They want to have as much space and trees as possible. I get that, but I don't think this would be a detriment in any way.
Okay. So I'll open it up to the floor. Is there anyone here to speak about this application?
Yes, I'm Laszlo Kovacs. I'm
Excuse me,
next
what's
door
your name?
neighbor.
Laszlo?
I just want to say that they mentioned 10,000 foot parcels in the area, but not in the direct area. None of that on that street is under 200, 100,000.
Actually, that's not true.
That's not true. I think the neighbor right next door is 10,000 square
On
feet.
that's,
So you have Hollywood Street, which is where this lot really is. If I'm looking directly at the lot, the house right next door is 10,000 square feet.
On that side of the street where they're proposing to build those houses, all those lots are 100 by 100 square feet.
That's correct.
Right, and, okay, so now, maybe I'm jumping ahead here. When I did a little research on this property, right? When they bought these lots, when this was first being developed, none of those houses were there. There was an outfit called Mohegan Manor Land Corp., and they were selling properties. They originally started out in 1927 selling 50 by 100 lots. The two lots that are on that property were bought in 1927 and were 50 by 100. After that, in 1932, when the zoning was changed, they went to 100 by 100. So those lots, those two that are right there, they were
Right.
subpar and you get divided. They really, if you combine them, they'd be a 100 by 100 lot, not a 50 by 100 lot, and they would be in conformity with the entire, that side of the street. On the other side of the street, that was different. Those houses came much later. But initially, when they first built those houses, they were all 100 by 100 lots.
Yes, but these lots were part of another lot,
When they bought them.
another owner, basically.
Yeah, you're right, but they bought, the lot behind them was a 100 by 100 lot. They guy bought two lots, you know, I don't want anybody
Right.
behind me. Yeah, right, but initially, if you look at how that's laid out, there was supposed to be, instead of two 50 by 100 lots, there was supposed to be one 100 by 100 lot.
Well, basically,
but
this was the
it wasn't like the-
backyard of a two.
Right, all right, so then my question is, that with the initial houses that were built, both houses, I believe, on Lookout were built in 1934, they're the original houses up in that neighborhood. Where were those septic systems located? I'm sure, it's almost 100 years later, they had to upgrade the septic. Where are the septic systems on that
I
property
think
now?
that's what happened, was that they expanded the systems down because they were failing into those lots because they owned them.
Okay,
Look,
so do we know where the septic systems are now? Have we identified where the septic systems are now?
The septic systems are in those two lots. So they've expanded down.
Where are the
into-
cleanouts for that? Where is all that? Is
Well,
that
we
up by the
never really-
house? Is that just, they just play with the fields? Is that what they did? I don't know.
We're just developers, so we don't really know what the previous owners did. We just know that both neighbors have septic systems that have expanded into those properties. And we're eliminating them and we're gonna put them on the sewer system when we build the new house. So all three of these will be part of the
On
new
part of the sewer
Peekskill
system.
system.
Right.
So you're gonna eliminate two houses off the septics that are there.
All right. So why don't can you come back up to the podium?
Well, the reason why we're doing it for them is they don't wanna spend $25,000 to make the connections. That's why.
So I just want to point out what I was speaking about the lot sizes a few minutes ago to correct. So if you look up at the screen here, this lot, I don't know if you can see my mouse, but it's shaded gray is one of the houses, the one right to the right. So on Lookout, they're all 10,000 square feet.
Yeah, on Lookout.
Yeah, you're right. I was trying to correct my mistake
Thank
that I
you.
said to you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's where I'm at as far as could they
Hey, okay, Bob. Let's.
sorry,
It's all right.
didn't mean to be sidetracked
So
with that.
I think, first thing I'm probably going to say is that I'm going to close and reserve this hearing tonight once I do a motion, only because there's only three of us, and it's really probably not to your advantage to have a three-person vote on this. I want the full board to vote this one.
Can I ask something?
Sure.
So, the other gentleman that here is, I believe he recused himself the last time.
Yeah.
So does he
he's
get a
still
vote in this?
recused now.
No.
doesn't-
So how does that help us?
If you recuse yourself, you're
Well,
out of the picture.
Bill's not here right now.
Yeah,
so
and-
he-
yeah.
Okay.
I would suggest to you that 4 is better than 3 because one no vote would deny the application,
Okay.
all right? And it's it's fairly complicated with these issues, and we've also requested many records that I think I have to review a little more carefully before we render a decision, because one of the main things, I suppose, that has come up through some of this is increasing the nonconformity of the two existing lots. That's was said in the planning memo. It's been brought up. And I think this is more of a legal issue to me, in the sense to say, are these lots, have they ever been merged or deemed to be merged? And if the answer to that is no, you're not increasing the noncompliance of the two existing lots. So if these lots were never ever merged in any paperwork, in any legal sense, in any tax document, tax assessor, if they were not merged, you're not increasing any nonconformity of the two existing properties. So I would take that kind of argument off the table in my way of thinking.
Okay.
So I guess the only thing that I could think of as far as deemed merged would be, does a septic system on one that's being used, does that constitute merging properties?
It's land use.
I didn't find anything on that to say it does. Yeah, so if we could get an opinion that whether or not these things through the tax records, nothing in the records we've gotten say they were merged. Right, I mean,
From the information that I had looked at, these lots were originally bought as 50 by 100 lots. There was no merger of the lots. They were basically standalone. When the people that lived on Lookout Street bought that extra lot behind them, so that was both houses owned those two separate lots. But originally, the proposed area was, they were 50 by 100 lots, and they was each separate, but the people that built on Lookout Street bought them, but there was no merger of the lots. They
right.
were
And
standalone.
And there is some towns do have a law that if one person owns two substandard lots that are adjoining, they're deemed merged, but I don't think Yorktown has that. It
I've
may have
never seen
had it.
anything to that effect.
So, I think that's most likely not gonna be part of this.
I know
issue.
legally that's not legal anymore.
Okay.
They're actually fighting it and reversing a lot of them now.
Yeah.
So it has
You're
come
not
up in the
legally allowed
it
to
has come
force
up in the
people's
various
properties
memos,
together.
so I'm definitely
Yeah.
want like an
The-
opinion
the-
to say these were never merged, or they were deemed merged in some way, because I don't wanna deliberate that we're taking a legal, 10,000 square, we're not really ever, if that's not the case, we're never calling those two properties 15,000 square foot lots, just because some person owns both of them, if they were never legally merged, all right? And that takes kind of a circumstance off the table that's relevant to this variance, so that's one thing. And really what I want the board to do is look at, consider the 5 factors that we do have to deliberate next, during our deliberation session. Whether an undesirable change will be produced to the character of the neighborhood. And I'm not gonna answer these right now, but whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible to the applicant to pursue other than a variance, so the answer to that is gonna be no. Whether the requested variance is substantial, that's gonna be a deliberation factor. Whether the proposed variance will have an adverse impact to the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood. So on one hand, you have development, on another hand, you have get rid of septics and put sewers, so there's two, competing things there. And whether this was self-created, which I would have to say it is in a sense, but that's not usually the determining factor. But I want to just repeat the factors, because that's where we have to go with this.
It's 100% in agreement
And
with
it's
that.
not a simple deliberation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There was a couple of things I wanted to add before we talk about closing reserve. We've had the neighbors concerned about runoff, about the trees and all that, Is there a plan for mitigation of water runoff for this
Yeah.
property?
We have a stormwater management.
Stormwater management?
Yeah, we're gonna
Joe
contain
Arena's
the
gonna
water
deal
on the
with that?
property. Yep.
Yeah, okay, because I mean, that's a big consideration when we start to think about that possibility of where this could go.
Yeah,
I mean,
that is another thing that does come up with many of these projects, that the mitigation plans do improve the environment in many cases. So, you know, that is, there's kind of a give and take with this environmental impact thing.
I'd like the board to keep in mind that these two families probably will not connect to the sewer system if they don't do this.
Right.
Okay? Those septic systems are 50, 60-year-old systems. They are financially, I don't believe that they can afford to do these connections without this merger.
Right.
Okay?
But then you get, okay.
So I'm just basically trying to give you the hardship of their end. These are the people that are paying taxes on that property for all these years. And I think that, you know,
Are
normally,
you saying the septics are failing?
no, they're not failing. I'm saying, but 50-year-old septics, at some point, they will fail.
And yes, and then you as a homeowner have an obligation to maintain your
Exactly.
property.
So like I said, we're trying to help them get on the system without a big expense to them. That's all.
I understand.
And I'm just saying, if you guys could, you know, keep that in mind, that that's the hardship to them. I don't necessarily believe that there's any problems there.
Would that be considered self-created, their hardship? I mean, that's the risk you take, you own a house.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely, you know, but that doesn't mean it's still not a hardship, it's still a hardship, you know, so, you
You know
know,
how many gallons the tanks are that are there, the
they're
septic
there,
system?
they're probably, you know, 750-gallon septic tanks that are there.
750.
How
you
many
know.
bedrooms are the houses?
I think they're 2 or 3 bedroom homes there.
Okay, so then you're probably 1,000 on the tank.
No, they're small,
they're
they're
probably
small back
smaller
there,
than that.
500 steel tanks,
Are they old style? Yeah.
you know, they're real old houses, so, you know, again, I don't really know the houses that much, I'm more guessing than, you know, I can find out more information if you really need some more information on it.
I had a curiosity about why, like, if I'm following my logic, and those original lots were 100 by 100, and these other lots were 50 by 100, where would if they stood alone, and they would forget the 50 by 100 lots, you got a 100 by 100 lot, where were the septics, the original septics? I mean, these buildings are almost 100 years old, right? I mean.
They would be-
so-
they would be
so
the
very
lowest
close-
point of the lot.
Very close to the house, and because another question was raised that, oh, maybe they couldn't build on that, so they needed that extra land in the back.
That's not the way
I
it
don't
worked
think
back
that's
then.
the case. I just think that over time, expediency said, let's just further it out, put the fields further out into those lots. That's my impression. I'm not
I've
sure
done
if
work
that's
in Lake Carmel, they have septic systems 25 feet away the well,
Right,
okay? So, you know, and that's what they did back then.
because
So-
there were summer cottages and you didn't have to worry about it. It wasn't all
Exactly.
year-round use.
So,
Understood.
like I said, I just, like you guys to just keep it in mind that, you know, there is a hardship. It's not necessarily your problem, but it is a hardship to them. So
Right.
it would help them, and
help the
hopefully you guys would want to help them. And it's, again, all the lots are in the area are the same.
On that side of the
We're not changing the dynamic of the area. If one person owned both properties, they'd be in here getting a building permit.
So we do now have a comment from neighbor here.
Yes, I just want to mention that hardship we dealt with 20 years ago for thousands of dollars, each of us on the street.
Right.
So why is it a hardship today for these people?
So what I'm gonna do is make a motion to close and reserve, and what that means is the public comments are done. It's really up to us to render a decision and we'll have a public deliberation on our decision in our next meeting. So I'll make a motion to close and reserve Pan Bar. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Good
All
night.
right, thank you.
This will be at the next meeting?
You can definitely you can come, but we're not gonna take any kind of comments or testimony.
We'll be here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to the new public hearings that are scheduled here for tonight.
We got Gowers
Win-
returned, right?
Oh, Gower was adjourned because mailings were not sent. Is anyone here on that? Probably not, hopefully. It was a renewal of an accessory apartment, so yeah. So, Winter, 1770 Morris Lane.
Right.
This is a application requesting a front yard variance for an existing tool shed that is under 100 square feet in size, as well as the addition of a new chicken coop to the existing shed, which requires a special use permit.
I don't remember this one.
So that was, I guess they added someone flagged that you need a variance for the shed that's in the
Yeah.
front yard, but this was for the chicken coop on, that was in the front yard.
I don't remember it. I'm drawing a
Yeah,
blank.
I have pictures
Must-
if
I
you
must
need,
have been on-
it'll jog your
yeah,
memory.
Must have been on the oxy at
That's,
that time.
that's where we had some, maybe, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, oh, I got you. I remember the house now. Yeah.
I'm just gonna look for my, where's my agenda? Oh, here it is.
Yeah, the shed was, we bought the house 2 years ago. The shed's probably 20, 30 years old.
All right.
Yeah,
And
what
it's,
kind of,
50 feet, it's over 50 feet from the edge of pavement.
All right, so can you just state your name for the record?
Sure, yeah, Edward Winter.
So you're, basically, it's two variances, hopefully that's what was
Morris Lane, I
noticed,
know
but,
Morris now.
one is for the shed now, but really the main consideration, I suppose, is also the chicken coop that is supposedly going to be attached to the shed.
Not attached, just adjacent to, kind of
Okay.
next to, but not physically attached.
I'm gonna see if I can get
I remember this
the
now.
plan open here, but,
it's like gonna be on the backside, like
Yeah,
near the stream.
The idea is that it would be just hidden, kind of tucked behind the tool shed, and could do an extended run along the side, just to give a little bit more space. But yeah, the location was chosen because it's, the property has some pretty steep hills with the creek, and that spot is the farthest from both our house and the neighbors. And also figuring it would be tucked behind the shed with a little added screening would be, no one would ever see it.
okay. So while you were speaking, I pulled up this plan. Basically, Morris Lane is kind of a curved, almost a corner lot here, I would call it. There's a brook running behind your house. We did a site visit. So we definitely understand that it's impractical to put it behind the brook, so to speak, which would be behind the house. There is a little bit of room, maybe on, say, the left side in this picture, potentially.
Yeah, I'm also open to that as a location. The only consideration there was that it would just be moving it closer to us and closer to the neighbor's house. Spoken with the neighbors, they're all excited actually to get free organic eggs, but I just don't see, given like proper screening through both the tool shed and maybe some evergreens, I don't see why we'd want to otherwise bring that closer to both our house and the neighbor's house.
Okay, so can you grab the file?
I
on
gave it
that
to you.
one?
That's all I got.
Is there any memos on this one?
Out of curiosity, when you did the plans for this, how are you going to get rid of the waste? How do you clean that up? What do you do with that?
Mostly a compost system. There's one system where it's called like a deep compost, where you just keep adding pine shavings, basically. The interior is a wood floor. Is a dirt floor where the hens roost. There's actually a pullout in the plan. There's actually like a piece of, I don't know what kind of material. It's like a plastic sheeting that you can pull out, and then all of that material could either be, you can do like a deep compost on site, where it just kind of gets turned over until it's decomposed, and then you add that as fertilizer to all of our gardens. Or you can take that and you can bag it and trash it, but we wouldn't do that. We would just turn it over and use it as compost. We actually have compost already going.
So they're gonna be
for
on the
vegetables.
dirt? There's not a
Yeah.
floor in the coop or the run?
It's a ground floor in the run, yeah, and then you add just like tons of pine shavings. and
Did,
that kind of stuff.
Conservation Board come out to see this?
No.
I
No one
never
came?
referred it.
No,
to
you never
anyone.
referred it?
No.
No, we did have some concerns when we went out to see this property in that when you look at the existing shed,
Mhm.
there's obviously gullies from runoff, rain runoff that run down into that stream.
Mhm.
And the stream does go into a protected wetlands across the street. And my question is, I mean, you're dealing with some high nitrogen
Yeah.
waste, and, you know, how do you keep that from running into that protected wetlands area?
I mean, I can think of, I mean, it would be pretty easy to put in like an 18-inch retaining wall just on the north side of the coop and add gravel, and that would probably catch runoff and give it like a containment site. That'd be,
I mean, it's great to have eggs and
Well,
all
yeah,
that, but it's, but the concern was,
Yeah.
you know, if you
Right,
have
right.
the waste aspect of it,
yeah. I think
and
that's,
it's in protected wetlands to begin with, do we wanna add more nitrogen and whatnot into that
Well, I think-
environment?
I think if we were doing like, you know, a 30, 40, 100 chicken
Well,
situation.
that'd be a big concern.
Yeah, we're talking about like max 5 chickens on this site, so I think that adding a small retaining wall to the north side of that with some gravel would probably, you know, take care of any concerns of runoff.
All right, I have a few memos that I'll read into the record here. One is from Steve Fraietta, who's here tonight, but dated April 21st of 2025. This application is requesting a front yard variance and a special permit for an existing shed under 100 square feet, an addition of a chicken coop to the shed with setback of 31.3 feet, where 40 feet is required by the town zoning code. I've inspected this property on April 17th and found, due to the topographic conditions of the property and location, it would not be feasible to locate the chicken coop in the rear of the house. I have no objections for granting relief for the variance requested and the special permit for the coop. I have a memo from a neighbor, I suppose, from David Rosidi, dated April 10th, to whom it may concern, below are my comments for the application of a chicken coop at 1770 Morris Lane. My wife, Rania, and myself do not object to any of the plans on the condition that Melissa and Edward feel free to glance over and give us a wave once in a while and maybe say hello. Just kidding, enjoy the chickens. Okay. Didn't expect that, but
Yeah.
anyhow.
We've met, they're cool.
So, I guess, you know, the one thing that I will read from the zoning ordinance that's relevant to this application that concerns me is a couple things here, but the coop shall be situated completely in a side or rear yard at least 30 feet from each property line and at least 50 feet from any residence. So we're talking about attempting to vary the location, you know, an area variance on the location into the front yard.
I think, I mean to cut you off, but if we look at the survey, I mean, and also on the site, I mean, it's, I guess by the strictest definition of front and backyard it would be, but we're looking at, you know, a property that's, it's a full acre, it borders a nature preserve, and it's kind of set, I mean, it's
Well, I mean.
nearly to
you
the
know,
side of the house.
Definitions
but-
are pretty,
Yeah, I mean, I guess, you know, if it were back a little further towards the brook, it would be the side yard. I'd have to really like examine the parameters of this lot to determine, you know, which is the front yard, which is the rear yard and all
Yeah.
this. But anyway,
It's a close call.
Topography.
we're gonna say it's the
topography's
front yard, which,
Topography has the aspects.
but, you know, the other relevant thing is that the coop shall require, the law requires that the coop and any attached run be screened from view at ground level from adjacent lots by using fencing, landscaping, or a combination thereof. So upon the site visit, you know, this is just a wide open view to the street. That's the bottom line with this. And that is a bit of a concern considering you're in the front yard and it's a wide open view to the street. It's really just very different than what the law envisioned.
Yeah, I have some visuals I can give you guys to kind of get a sense
Sure.
of,
We had the
What I'm
houses
thinking.
across the street with the down view on
Yeah.
them too.
So
Not
we'll
that-
take those for sure. And I'm gonna ask if there's any public comments on this application. Yeah,
Thank you, sir.
There's superimposed trees there?
Photoshop trees, that's
Flip art,
good,
there
that's
you go.
progress.
I mean, I think it's, pretty easily sorted out, and that is taken from Street View with a standard lens, so it's no distortions.
Right.
Also on that, what is it, the south-facing side, it would be easy enough to add T11 that's matching the shed and painted, it'll just blend right in. That would
Do
just
we have
add
plans for
screening
this?
for that
Do
entire,
you have plans for this shed, this chicken coop?
I have some right here.
It's
Yeah, I think
all right here if we have it.
there was tin roof or something, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
But you don't have a composting apparatus or anything specific for like a barrel or any, you're,
I mean, I do for like just our vegetables,
Yeah.
but I mean, I could do the same for this, would be simple enough. And this,
And are you gonna,
this is kind of a rough sketch of what the extended run would be.
so, there's two separate things here. One is a shed that's existing. I'd be inclined to grant that variance for the shed, which is violating front yard setback.
I'm curious, like, what those, 20, 30 years ago, if that was, if like the zoning rules have just evolved, like, since that was put there,
It's possible. I mean, I think most likely though, that, again, a lot like this, it's not even straightforward to always map out the lot, what is a front yard, which is a side yard, and which is
Right.
a rear yard. But generally, I doubt it's changed much to say, you basically have an accessory structure in the front yard. Or maybe it's a side yard, but the requirements for a side yard on a corner are equivalent to a front yard. So, that accessory is 30 where, 30, whatever the numbers
Something.
are, but.
50 feet from pavement, yeah.
So, considering that that's been there for so long, I would not say that the shed itself impacts the character of the neighborhood because it's like a fixture in the neighborhood, so I'm somewhat okay with that one. Do you guys have any comments on this screening here, the photoshops? I think that
I
looks
think
pretty
that,
good,
I think that,
actually.
that was helpful to
Yeah.
give a better visual. Yep.
I mean, I don't really think there's really a problem with that. I mean, how are you going to protect the, you
I
got the?
just,
All
I
right, go
just
ahead,
think,
go
I mean, something needs to be done to stop the water runoff that would go in this extended run here,
Yeah.
right? Because that's gonna
Well, that's
basically,
actually kind of level on the backside of the shed is more leveled off. It's
yeah.
on the north
mean, we were-
side.
we
We,
were out
we
there,
actually
we were-
witnessed like
Yeah.
There's a
where
little
there's
out.
like a gully, like where it
Well,
looks
that's-
like it's running right into
Right.
the stream.
So
In
there's
this exact location.
I don't know if you might have noticed some backfill in that area. That was
Yep.
like, okay, that was from a different project. We had our oil tank taken out and they didn't fill it enough. So I had more backfill brought in and dumped the rest of it there just to kind of level it out. So I don't know if you were seeing the same thing.
Yeah, I think we did see some fill was applied there. Right
Yeah.
next to the fill, there's almost like a
Uh-huh.
water channel. It looked
Yeah.
like runoff.
Well, it would be no sweat to, like I said, add like a small, retaining wall, either that,
You'd have to raise up that run higher than the surrounding areas, I guess, but, I could refer this to the Environmental Conservation Board. They maybe have a better opinion on runoff of, I don't really know how bad it is to have 5 chickens, perched above this brook. I really can't say that that's.
I'm not sure.
Obviously, there's a waste management plan. There's wildlife all over the place, you know, so I don't know that 5 chickens is really
I don't think
an
it's a-
issue. So it's, you know, I guess I'd be more inclined not to deal with that and delay it any further, unless you guys have any strong opinions on it.
I would do it with the review, do it on a short period, you know, I don't know, what do
Well,
they
it's a year.
Yeah, do it
Yeah.
for the year, and yeah, definitely.
And maybe
We
put
come out
some
and
gravel or
inspect it and see
something
what-
behind
see
it,
what's
just
been done.
stabilize the ground a little bit.
Yeah,
I
that would
yeah,
be
I mean,
easy enough.
the evidence
to-
that we saw when we were out there, you have the shed, the existing shed that is there now, and behind that shed going down towards the stream is definitely evidence of runoff, that you got whatever water's going on. And just from a practicality perspective, I think it would be unfair to people downstream to have this runoff to go in there.
Well,
So-
there's no people downstream.
Well,
That goes
people
into
walk around in
400
that, and
acres
like I
of
say, it's a
nature
protected
preserve.
environment, it's a
Yeah.
protected woodlands, so.
Yeah. So, I mean, does it sound like an 18-inch retaining wall would be sufficient there, or
I would-
something
I would tend to
greater,
think,
less?
if,
like-
I would tend
Yeah.
to think that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, so I'll just word it, you can hear what I say, I suppose,
Okay.
and, so I'm gonna make a motion to grant, well, this will be 2 separate things, so I'll make a motion to grant
The shed.
the, variance for the shed, with a setback of 31.1 feet. 31.1 feet where a setback of 40 is required. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The stipulation on the shed is that's just for the shed, not a whole property line variance. Okay, so I
I have a question on that, actually.
Go ahead.
Is the setback a standard distance? Is it 15 feet just from the edge of pavement, or is it, or
It's
does
from the
that, or
property
does
line.
that vary?
It varies by zone.
In your zone.
Okay, because at 50 feet, the edge of the shed to the pavement, and with a 15-foot setback, that still gives us, like, the math doesn't quite add up to like that would be like a 35-foot setback, which still wouldn't match the 40-foot requirement, but it does just, make me wonder if something's
Just
wrong
going
with the
by
survey, or
what's
something's
here,
wrong
yeah.
with the setback.
What is this, an R?
So, it's, what's the zone here? R140 probably? Doesn't say. So, right here on the plan, it says 31.1 feet,
Yeah,
and that's to the property line. The street is not the property line.
Right,
There's
right.
a town right of way. So, we're just going by what it says right there.
on the survey, okay.
And you're supposed to be 40.
Yeah, it was my understanding that the setback is a standard, I was told.
15 is for a
Yeah.
side or rear yard setback,
Mhm.
40 is a front yard setback. And that's what you have here. Okay? So I will also now make a motion to approve the variance for, a special permit for the chicken coop with the special permit for the chicken coop with a variance attached that it's allowed to be in the front yard,
Okay,
okay? With the stipulation that you implement the screening roughly, what's depicted in the Photoshop evergreens,
yeah,
and construct a retaining wall to divert the runoff as much as possible
okay,
away from, towards, basically
it.
towards the street instead of down.
Away
into
from the street.
Yeah,
yeah.
away from the stream and towards,
Mhm.
or into your property.
Yeah, got it.
So this will be, and again, it's a 1-year permit approval. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Granted.
Thank you.
All right.
Keep those neighbors happy.
All right, so you got this paperwork. Let's-
Ardolino,
Let's put these files
Yeah.
back together before we proceed. Oh, jeez.
That's Ardolino.
All right, these guys go together. Okay. Yeah, I'm starting to get a little,
Right.
Ardolino, this is a request for a zoning variance for a lot line change that will reduce the size of 2583 Hedwig Drive from 20,009.0690 square feet to 17,839.5835 square feet. And increase the lot size of 2845 Hedwig Drive from 13,544.4992 square feet to 15,713.9712 square feet.
Oh, my God.
These properties are located in R120 zoning district. Okay, can you state your name for the record?
Jeffrey Ardolino.
Okay. So can you just describe the project to us here? What you're
Yes, so own both adjacent properties, had a new survey done with the lot line adjustment. When you gentlemen were able to come out, the new property was staked, and for an old lake community, it better balances those two specific properties.
Okay, so I'm just looking for what would be the best picture to show. This looks pretty good. Yeah, it's a little busy, but. Okay, so I will see if there's any memos on this one.
I can't move my arm. Go ahead.
I have a memo from the planning board. At its meeting of April 7th, 2025, the planning board discussed the subject referral. The board has no planning objections to the issuance of a lot area variance as a result of the proposed lot line adjustment. The memo dated April 21st from Steve Frayetta. Here, this is a zoning application for a lot line change that reduces the lot size. You're gonna make me read these decimals again? No.
Who did this, an actuary?
Very detailed surveyor.
Gosh.
This is a zoning application for a lot line change that reduces the lot size at 2853 Hedwig Drive from the number that I stated earlier to the number that I stated earlier, and increases the size of 2845 Hedwig Drive from the 13,000 and change to the 15,000 and change. I inspected this property on April 17th, 2025, and found no apparent violations on both properties, no objections to granting the relief. Okay, so we were out there on a site visit, and I guess what you stated a few moments ago is basically you acquired the property next door, and it just provides better balance between the two properties.
Correct.
There's no real intention to build anything at
Nope.
this point in time
No.
with it, and it just made sense when I was looking at it. I'm sure it makes more sense to you as the owners of the
Yeah.
property than my 10 minutes there. Does anyone have any, is there any public comment on this one? Any comments? So, given that there's like
Straightforward.
zero impact to the character of the neighborhood by moving an imaginary line, is really all you're doing, I'm going to make a motion to grant this variance for the lot line change at 2583 Hedwig and 2845 Hedwig. I'm going to make a motion to approve the variance for those two and the numbers that were stated earlier. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's
Thank you.
approved. I think I put the memos back.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. What is this teamwork? I like how this goes.
Fanning, 3147 Old Yorktown Road. This is an application for a special use permit to allow a new chicken coop that requires a special permit for 300-81 of the zoning code. So, if you don't mind, state your name for the record.
Brian Fanning.
I'll try to get your file opened here, and,
I have a copy of
all right, great.
We were looking at together.
Excellent. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Oh, thank you.
So basically, it's another one of these chicken coops, and you submitted plans that show the waste management and the containers for the food and the things that are required for the special permit. So one of the things that also came up in the prior hearing was front yard, side yard, rear yard, allowed where it's allowed. And I think that on a lot like yours, we discussed this while we were at the site visit, where the front of the house is not parallel to the front yard, the front lot line, the determination of what is a side yard is a little less straightforward than using the house as the reference for the yard. It's like a typical square lot with a house parallel. You just use the house, and the front yard's in front of the house, the side yard's the sides of the house, but your lot is irregular, and the positioning of the house is at an angle to the front lot line. So this is relevant because you basically already started the work on the structure, and it, was possibly deemed as in the front yard. But upon a further review of this, in a discussion I had with Steve a little bit ago, the way the code's written, it defines the front yard as the front lot line is separated from the road, and that the line of the building, which sets the front yard, it's called the line of the building, that runs parallel to the front lot line. Okay? So I drew my own sketch, and I don't have it on the computer. But basically,
Do we know what the distance is from the corner of the house to Yorktown Road?
we'll get to that. in
Oh, okay,
one
no,
second.
I'm just saying, I know we're
don't
talking
have
about
the
drawing
answer
the
to
line.
that, But, so.
That's what I was trying to
I don't
do
know if this
just now
can get on
myself.
camera,
Yeah.
but, yeah, so,
Yeah.
so, I don't know if this will show up on the camera, I sketched it myself, but basically, you see the red rectangle is where we would interpret your front yard.
Right.
So anything but that area is side yard or rear yard where the chicken coop is permitted, all right? So it's quite possible that your current chicken coop is in the side yard. You have to check, we started kind of talking about this, but you just have to check that existing structure is not in this red,
I checked it right,
yeah.
I
okay.
checked right before I came. It's a little over 70 feet from the stone wall, which is, proud of the roadway. Because
70
you said the
feet off.
road is not necessarily where your property
right.
starts. So there's a rock wall there, which I believe is, close to the property line.
So how much is this corner of the house? Do you know the distance? And this is what Bob just asked. This front corner of the house, how far is that?
just over, that's right about 40 feet.
40 and this?
At that far corner?
Construction, and that would make sense, right, with the...
Yeah, I mean, that was a,
It's following the footprint of the original
there's an
house.
original house on
There was a house
yeah.
there before that.
Yeah, but that's probably pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what we're looking
I
at.
did measure it as well, and I have
it's well
40 feet
over-
to
it's
about...
well over 40, it's well over the distance from the corner of the house to the road.
Yeah, I think
to
it's
the,
in,
Yeah, it's almost
I think
twice
it's
as
side
far,
yard.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And the other property line, so you have a neighbor to the side, you gotta be 30 feet.
That's
off.
almost, it's a little over 80 feet,
Okay.
closer to 90.
So as far as this structure, I would make the determination that that's not in the front yard, okay?
By this much.
So, now, does anyone have any comments on this application? You board have any comments? All right, so I will make a motion to grant the special permit for the chicken coop at 3147 Old Yorktown Road for a period of 1 year. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
All right, it's granted.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Happy chickening.
Yeah, yes, I mean, I don't think, there is no actual permit that we give when we approve a special permit, so.
The chickens have to,
Just when it's complete, just when it's complete,
Yeah,
you
you have
will.
to
the
come
chickens
back.
all have to carry ID.
You have to come back, actually, this is mine.
Real ID.
Just when you're done with
So,
it, they'll
that
call us
all-
for the final inspection.
You got everything to go in here?
Yeah, that, these
That's
are my
all.
papers.
When
I
you're
was gonna say,
totally
did you
done.
wanna throw your paper, your little,
Yeah, we could do that.
throw that in here.
Yeah. it's-
And this way we get on, if it
Yeah,
ever
yeah, that's good.
ever becomes
For
a
future. Where's the next one?
question of authenticity, we could say,
Yeah. Okay,
which one is this?
Cruz,
Allen.
2109 Allen Avenue.
Oh,
This is an application to construct an addition that will require a front yard setback of 20. Now, it's, the plan that we were looking at the other day said 27.2, and our agenda says 27.3, but not a huge deal, so I'm gonna just say 27.2 feet where 30 feet is required for section 300-21 of the town zoning code. Okay. So can you state your name for the record and just tell us a little bit about the project?
Sure.
Briefly.
Gregory Mormon. I am the architect of record for the project. So the project itself is an existing single-family home. The homeowners are looking to do a small renovation by extending the existing bedroom in the rear to create a master bedroom suite, as well as adding a one-car garage. It's the one-car garage that's actually encroaching at the front yard setback. The community in this area, the roadways are a little squirrely, as pretty common in the township. It creates a lot of soft corners for a lot of lots, which is also pretty common. But the adjacent corner lots, which corner lots always just get double whammied when it comes to zoning. The neighboring lots have soft corners of about 30 to 40 foot radius, whereas this property, which is I'm defining as the hardship mainly of this property, has a very large corner radius. It's almost a three-sided property rather than a four-sided property. So with the front yard setback definition, it's simply following what is over a 100-foot radius on the corner of the property. And by adding the one-car garage, that de minimis encroachment of less than 3 feet is just simply of the geometry of the new garage, where it's a square garage with a round corner property line.
Okay, so I'm trying to get the best pictorial of this, but, so these surveys that I just had up, do they show the addition or this?
If you pan left, that will show the site plan showing the new additions.
Okay, perfect.
So the encroachment observing on the plan would be in that right-hand corner.
Right. So,
That's the garage or the bedroom?
That is the new garage.
The garage, okay.
so for everyone's benefit, this is the existing, it's a little small, but, and this is the proposed.
That's the bedroom on the left rear?
Correct.
And this is everything you just described with the curve and this little triangle of non-conformance is right here where my highlighter is.
Correct.
So can you build it on an angle? You know,
They make those new
Yeah,
age
it's a little
garage
curvy,
doors
huh?
that they just crumple up like paper.
Okay.
In addition, I mean, while it's not of topic of the variance request, but the property is undersized and is an existing non-conforming. It's about 50% of the required lot size for this district.
Right.
But in terms of percentage of coverages, everything is conforming. So literally the only hardship here is this less than 3 foot encroachment of the front yard.
Yeah, Allen Ave is another example of the R110 zone that was 10,000 square feet when it was developed, and now it's 20, so that's why everything's like existing, non-conforming on that street.
Yeah, I noticed that.
So I have a memo from Steve Fraietta dated April 21st. This is an application for an addition that is requesting a front yard setback variance of 27.3 where 30 is required for section 300. So you inspected the property on April 17th, 2025 and found no apparent violations. I have no objections to granting the relief. Does anyone in the audience have any comments on this application? So we were at the site visit, you know, and just reviewing this plan, I don't feel that it's a significant variance. I don't feel that it's impacting the character of the neighborhood, unless anybody on the board has any commentaries.
We-
So I will make a motion to grant the variance to construct an addition at 2109 Allen Ave with the front yard setback of 27.2, where 30 is required, with the stipulation that the addition has to be built in substantial conformity to the plans that have been submitted, and that this variance applies only to what's submitted on this plan and not the whole entire property line.
Was the footage corrected?
I just
Where's that?
corrected it
Oh, you
when I
did?
said it.
Okay.
27.2 instead of 27.3. That's a big difference, you know.
Okay.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's granted.
Okay.
Great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Could have had the last guy do the math, and it might have.
I know, like, so many decimal places in this meeting, I'm gonna lose my mind.
It's
but
like it comes out, what's the definition of pie?
The problem is they invented, you know,
Thank you, sir.
computer-aided
That's the next one.
design,
I'll
and
take
now
that
these
one on it.
computers
I'll
spit
get
out
it.
these
I get it.
numbers
Come on, let me try.
that have like 80 million
Come on,
decimal
give it a
places.
Try.
Uh,
I'm sorry.
Should go back to blueprints, so nobody
Yeah,
has any.
Mylar.
Yeah.
Mylar.
Petrino, 1579 Summit Street.
Come on down.
This is an application for a zoning variance to construct an addition of a storage room and replace a deck that will require a side yard variance of 9 feet where 12 feet is required per the zoning code. Can you state your name for the record and just describe the project that you're planning?
Good evening. My name is Richard Vale. I'm Frank Petrino's architect.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're proposing to renovate the existing deck. So there'll be no footprint change. The stair is rickety, so we're going to be replacing that. And trying to hang on to as much of the structure as we can. It's going to be kind of, we're going to see how it goes as we take the decking off, and we'll be replacing the railings and decking and possibly some of the framing, depending on the condition. But yeah, additionally, Mr. Petrino would like to construct a storage shed underneath the deck. And it's set back a couple feet from the 9-foot projection of the deck, because the deck cantilevers out.
Yeah, nothing going
So we're gonna be building the shed would be constructed in within the perimeter of the structural posts.
That's gonna go under, basically it's gonna go under the deck.
Right.
Yeah.
So this, I think, depicts.
Yeah, it's a.
Are you leaving that deck as an open plan? Is it gonna be, you're gonna cover that deck, or?
It'll be open. Yeah, the deck will remain open, and then we've got the system that kind of goes between the joist. It's like a membrane that'll act as the roof and pitch towards the end of it. Yeah.
So this view shows what was just being discussed. There are some pictures here, but I don't know if I'll be able to find them. So I'm gonna read a memo. There is a picture, but now my computer has to be. This is the existing house. Memo from Steve Frietta, April 21st. This is an application to construct an addition of a storage room and replace a deck that requires a side yard variance of 9 where 12 is required per section 300-21 of the town zoning code. I have inspected this property on April 17th and found no apparent violations. I have no objections to granting relief. A building permit and a C of O will be required. Okay. Does anyone in the audience have any comments on this application? So we did the site visit. I see this picture here shows exactly what we were just discussing. Zoom in under that deck, screened pretty well with the evergreens. I don't really see any issues because the deck itself already exists, and we're basically legalizing the deck setback. The storage room comes in further even than the deck itself, so
Is that a finished basement into that abuts that, area?
That is, yeah.
So I don't really see any issues in terms of changing the character of the neighborhood because it's like a kind of a minor change to what exists there. Does anyone have any input on this one or objections or
No, I think
comments
we'll be
or
all right with
concerns?
that.
So I will make a motion to grant the variance to construct an addition of a storage room and replace a deck that will require a side yard variance of 9 feet where 12 feet is required at 1579 Summit Street, with the stipulations that the project be built in substantial conformity to the plans that have been submitted, and that this variance applies only to the plan that's submitted and not the rest of the property line. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's approved.
Thank you. I've got the green returns. I don't know if that's something you
No,
want
we
or
only
you don't need
take,
them.
you
Just
turn the
ones?
white ones in.
Oh, okay, you don't need the
That's-
greens.
We
yeah.
only need proof that it was sent, not that it was
Got it.
received.
You can
Got it.
keep that as, those are souvenirs, you keep that as a souvenir.
The way the law works. You have to send them, but no one has to read them.
Boy, I should break my arm more often.
Okay. I can't read my staple. I think it's Geisler,
Yeah.
1804 Lawrence Road. This is an application for a special use permit to create a new accessory apartment that requires a special use permit per section 300-38 of the town zoning code. Can you state your name for the record and describe the project?
David Tetro, architect, and Mr. Chris Geisler, the homeowner. The project is a substantial alteration and addition to an existing home. We're fine with everything on the zoning for that, except for the fact that we need the owner's looking for a special use permit for an accessory apartment as part of the alteration and addition.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to bring up the plans here.
All right, good to see this again.
This is maybe good enough.
How, how does it, okay.
So we were at the site. It's a historical home, but it's in a state of, needs to be remodeled or repaired, or however you can put that.
Unless you like that rustic, you know, if you like it rustic, you're
Very
doing good.
rustic.
It's got that 1930s rustic, you know,
It's,
I like that, yeah.
So we're not
It needs
seeing
help.
an actual apartment. We're really not seeing a little bit of the building that might remain, but I have a memo here from Steve Frayetta. Request for a special permit for an accessory apartment to be constructed. A building permit application shows plans for the apartment meeting section 300-38 of the town zoning code, as well as renovations to the existing structure. I've inspected this property on April 17th, 2025, and found no apparent violations. This project requires a building permit and a certificate of occupancy. So, you know, I think that basically sums up everything here, that the apartment complies with the code. We discussed a little bit, and you can see it here on the plan with the parking. See parking for 3 vehicles at least. I did ask about the way the doors would be, and they're not like side by side.
No,
close together, but they're not.
they're
on the same-
turned, so they're not facing the main street.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is we don't want to see it be an obvious 2-family home as opposed to just an accessory apartment. So I think all of this project complies as far as the size, the aesthetics, the parking, the harmoniousness of the neighborhood, and you name it. So is there anyone that has a comment on this application? Anyone on the board have a comment on this?
No?
So I will make a motion to grant the special use permit for the accessory apartment at 1804 Lawrence Road. And that the with the stipulation that the project be built in substantial conformity to the plans that have been submitted for a period of 3 years. Do I have a second?
I'll give you the second, but I have a
All right,
question
go ahead.
before we finish up.
Sure.
Just on the off chance that, okay, we're given approval for 3 years for an accessory apartment. If, for some, not that it's gonna happen, but if, say it were to get out of hand and we were to rescind the approval for an accessory apartment, what happens then? The building's
Well, I
already
know
built,
that we,
it's already built
yeah.
and it's built as an accessory apartment. What do you undo that? Oh, knock the building down? I mean, how do you,
You'd
how
have
do
to
you,
remove
how do
the
you deal with
stove.
that?
Well-
Basically, right? I mean,
You'd have to just take the stove out, that would be it, and that would be it. Okay, I'm just asking, I'm just
you know,
curiosity.
when you boil everything down,
Yeah,
when
yeah.
you boil everything down, a separate living area is defined by having a kitchen, which is interpreted as a stove, so. that's-
Okay.
But, I mean, I don't know that, we've ever like unapproved one in the middle of the approval, but after they come back.
Well,
yeah,
that's what,
you
no,
remove it,
that's where
yeah.
I'm going with that. I mean, if
Yeah.
they say, okay, we're gonna give you approval now, everything's going great, 3 years down the road, it's, you got 60 people living there,
Right.
and you're partying, and whatever,
That's our-
whatever. I mean,
that's our
things
authority.
change and.
That's
and
the
it's-
plan.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, I'm loving it. That's it.
This
you know?
isn't necessarily relevant only to this application, it's more
Yes.
of a
It's
general
just, it was a
question
general
with
question,
accessory.
in that you're building, usually an accessory apartment's within an existing building, and you're modifying interiors and whatnot. This is basically a new addition for
Yeah.
that purpose, and I was just saying, well, what happens with the,
Well,
it doesn't
it's-
work out, you
The
know?
accessory apartment is within the existing footprint of the house itself.
okay.
Yeah, I mean,
So
it's a good
the addition
question.
is
It's,
occurring on the other side, which is the main portion of the building.
It's one of those things, it's kind of what Bob just brought up, like, you get your building permit, you build the structure the way it is on these plans. The only authority we ever have in the future is to, we can't say knock the building down, it's just really about the kitchen.
Correct.
That's kind of a very hypothetical.
And I'm only asking,
Yeah, no, that
that's-
I'm,
That's a valid, that's a
the
valid
moment
question,
rose
yeah.
to ask it, so, Yeah, but if code enforcement says, no, we gotta get rid of this, but the fact that you built this building with the purpose of, as an accessory apartment, does that change? So,
So I
Take
made
out
the
the stove, you're
motion,
good to go.
A few minutes ago to approve with the stipulation that it's in substantial conformity to the plans that were submitted for 3 years. Do I
we're
have a
good, second.
All in favor?
Seconded.
Aye,
Aye.
Okay, it's approved.
Great. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
thank you.
Okay.
Which one's this?
Montenegro,
Chicken coop. Oh, this is across from Copper Beach.
this is a application for a special use permit to allow a new chicken coop that requires a special use permit per section 300-81 of the town code at 3388 Old Yorktown Road. Hello?
Hi.
Can you give us your name for the record?
Edwin
and describe
Montenegro.
your project?
Edwin Montenegro.
Okay, I'm gonna try to pull up the file here on the
Okay.
computer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the one in the back.
Okay. Just gonna see if, here we go. Okay. So here's a survey. I think we received information about the waste management plan of composting and the rodent-proof containers. Other requirements that I've alluded to on some of the other applications, 30 feet from the property line and screening. So I think it's kind of hand-drawn in here, but 30 feet off that property line for sure. I think I would have a memo on this guy. Let me just-
I see it.
It's a building memo and a public comment, so I'm going to, I'll read the building memo first. It's from Steve Frayetta, April 21st. The applicant is requesting a special permit for a chicken coop per section 300-81 of the code. I've inspected this property on April 17th and have no objections to granting the special permit. I have a letter from Linda Ferrara, April 15th, 2025. To whom it may concern, it has come to my attention that my neighbor located at 3388 Old Yorktown Road has applied with the town of Yorktown for a permit regarding building a chicken coop on the confines of their property. I have two underlying concerns / issues at this time I would like to express. The first issue is of legal matters within two key areas. The first legal concern is of the required distance from the coop being built approximately 30 feet from my property line and 50 feet from my residence as required by the town of Yorktown zoning ordinance. The second legal concern I have is of the excessive loud noise from the chickens or roosters that may be placed in said coop. The average decibel level for a chicken is approximately 60 to 70 decibels, and some roosters can reach an approximate decibel level of 130. As stated in the town of Yorktown zoning ordinance code, section 216-2, titled Unreasonable, Unnecessary, or Excessive Noise, section 4, a sound level reading taken at a residential property arising from another residential property above 50 decibels during the time period commencing from 11 p.m. and ending at 7 a.m. the next day on Sundays through Thursdays at the time period commencing at 11 p.m. and ending at 7 a.m. on Fridays and Saturdays is a violation of the code. Let it be noted that if the town does approve this application and there are future violations of codes, I will be reaching out to the appropriate authorities to address these concerns. The second issue is of personal opinion. I have lived at this residence for 20 years and pay near $20,000 in local taxes. For the past 20 years, this community has been known for a peaceful, quiet, safe environment, which has made it an enjoyable and attractive place to live and have a family. I now have a young granddaughter who is less than a year old and is expected that she will start playing in our yard. It is a concern to me for the safety and health issues that my young granddaughter could experience in the near future. It is also a concern to me that from several conversations I have had with other family members and friends who also had experiences with neighbors that owns chickens and roosters tend to escape from their coops and roam around their properties, which I am adamantly against if these animals do end up trespassing on my property. I thank you for your time. Please consider the factors I have mentioned. Sincerely, Michael and Linda Ferrara. Okay. So, do I have any comments from the audience on this application?
I was wondering what you guys were here for. I thought maybe you were late to the show or something.
Just state your
Cool,
name
cool.
for the record and feel free to make any comments.
My name is Adam Link. How you doing? I have no problem with a chicken coop or chickens, depending on how many there are and if you're going to be selling and stuff like that. But I do have an issue with roosters because, like,
They're not allowed.
No,
So,
they're not.
Not allowed
and
to
that's the
have
only
any
reason why I'm
roosters.
here. Is
Not
just,
even-
I just want to make sure
yeah.
there's going to be no rooster waking me
yeah,
up on my day
Inflating.
off.
Yeah,
No.
You know what I mean?
No roosters.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I didn't mention that earlier, and I'll mention it to the applications. The code is very specific, no roosters or.
Because I remember there was a rooster a few houses down, but it didn't last long.
Yeah.
It was there. It was there for like a week, and then all of a sudden you didn't hear it no more.
Since it
So
wound
they
up
must
in
have
somebody's
came.
pot.
No,
Yeah,
well,
and
It wound
said-
up in somebody's pot.
so I will
Oh, maybe
say
that too. Yeah, you never know. That's possible.
the code specifically forbids roosters. We've never applied a variance for having a rooster. I have heard roosters in my own personal neighborhood,
Yeah.
so I don't know,
Yeah.
you know, the circumstances. Let's say they're probably unpermitted.
Right. I just wasn't
And
sure.
what this
So I
law
said,
is
let me
trying
come.
to do is to legalize and make it harmonious with the neighborhood. So if people just follow the law is written in such a way to make it harmonious. And that's kind of what I'll comment on about this letter with the noise ordinances.
Sure, come on up.
Come on up. Sure.
You gotta come to the microphone
to the mic.
and introduce yourself.
No, it-
Come introduce yourself and tell us.
Yeah, my name is Mohammed I'm behind them, street. There's no problem for me. Also, we can have chicken too and no roaster because we have kids to go to school. We wake up in the morning, I have 3, my neighbor have 2. They wake up every day in the morning. Second thing, she's right for the noise. They always have a music until 11 at night.
Oh, wow.
Okay, 11 at night, and we quiet, say maybe gonna understand next day. And second day, same thing. Third day, same thing. It was 3 days straight. They are alive?
3 days straight?
Yeah, 3 days with the party in the backyard.
All right.
There's no problem. You can have a life. There's no problem, but expect neighborhood. As she say, she's right. You expect that neighborhood. You have a time to have a music. 8, 9, 10 maximum and stop. There are people go sleep. There are people go to work. I have my neighborhood. I have my dog too. Maybe he didn't know that my dog is a big. Yeah, if you get close to the fence, you'll be. Let's say it won't stop. If you get close, my neighborhood come to me, knock the door, Sunday. Please, can you let your dog go outside in the morning until 8? I did that. It's my dog. He's free to go. You know, it's not my. It's not my dog. It's my baby. I call him. It's my baby. He grew up with me when he was like that. Was a baby, so he grew up with me. So I told him, sit. He slept next to me too. I don't have no problem. It's my baby. I call him. I have my 4 kids, and this is my 5th one.
We're gonna compromise everybody.
Yeah, so everyone different, but
yeah.
please, you know,
I mean,
as I
that's
told
how-
in front of you guys, respect the neighbor. That's all.
I will. I'll summarize what you said, and it's all these permits, and really not even just permits. What we contend with a lot is you have to be harmonious with your neighborhood, and we're not the noise,
Police.
code enforcement noise or any of that here. But we do approve these permits, and in a year, because that's how long this permit is good for, when you come to renew it, if we deem that it's not harmonious with the neighborhood based on the actual, execution of what you actually do, then it's not going to be reapproved. So I always advise people to take your neighbor's concerns seriously and be very diligent in how you keep your property, your noise, because, we don't just grant approvals for things that are not harmonious. Now, regarding this memo from the neighbor, the town code requires 30 feet from your property line, 50 feet from a structure, no roosters, a waste management plan. The code takes care of all these concerns, so that if you meet the code, you meet the concerns of the neighbor as far as the noise, because there's no roosters, as far as the environmental impacts with the waste management plan and so forth. So, the plans show 30 feet. We were also doing a site visit. It's fairly private in the backyard, so I wouldn't necessarily think that we need excessive screening, compared to.
No.
Seems like it was pretty well
Yeah.
screened.
If anything, a little extra screening to the neighbors right behind them, you want to screen that a little bit more, you could do something, but, that's not necessarily anything
Yeah.
crazy, that's just good natured.
The property's not fenced in, right? We didn't see fenced.
No, no fenced in.
No.
How many chickens you gonna have?
5, 6.
I see.
I'm sorry.
It's like 5, 6. Yeah.
I think,
We
I
basically
think
from
you
our,
understand your neighbor's comments.
we understand that we are
getting-
actually from our neighbor Ferrara, we are trying to build our chicken coop on the opposite side. So originally, I guess somebody said that 10 feet, but now we mark it 30 feet.
Okay.
But we are
The other side.
maybe 100 feet from the chicken coop to the line, and then their house is another 30 feet, I believe.
Yeah, so our goal in a permit is to make sure you comply with the law, not to make up a law that says you can't do what you have a legal right to do.
And to make sure you got no roosters.
That's-
No roosters.
So,
We don't want to wake somebody up in the morning.
No, not me.
That's nothing.
One neighborhood, she wouldn't not leave you, but I'm telling you.
I mean, that's nothing to crow about, you got.
I actually like it. I hear roosters. Wakes me up.
So I will make a motion to grant the special permit for the chicken coop at 3388 Old Yorktown Road with the stipulations that it's built in substantial conformity to the plans submitted and keeping mind of the 30-foot setbacks and the 50 feet away from any existing buildings for a period of 1 year. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's approved, 1 year. Take care.
Are there containment rules like that they have to be, like you can't they can't
No, they
roam,
have to be
right?
in the run.
Yeah.
This is, what do we have to left to go back in here? Any of this
Do we have any
paperwork?
renewals? No, I think we're
No,
done.
everything, there's nothing on our thing. Does any of this paperwork go in here? Or is that?
Yes, this does. So that concludes our meeting for tonight. Good night, and have a good rest of your month and spring. Take
Come
care.
on. There it is.